Good morning guys, so we're going to be continuing our angles journey today. So above all the skills that you've learned before, angles and parallel lines is what we focused on for the last couple of lessons, and now in this lesson we're going to be developing that knowledge and looking at bearings. So specifically we're going to be using bearings to pinpoint a specific location. So this is one of my favourite GCSE topics in maths, so I hope you'll enjoy it too. Okay, so let's start off with a question. So let's say a man is in the desert looking for some buried treasure. So here's your man, and let's say he's at point A, and let's call this the buried treasure, and it's at point X. So my question to you is, how can you direct him to the exact spot to start digging? So I'm looking for two pieces of information. What two things do you need to tell this guy? So what two bits of information does he need to find that treasure? So pause it if you need a moment to think. What two things do you have to tell him? Well, first of all, you need to tell him what direction to start walking in. So it might be something like go straight up, so north. It might be something like go to his left, so west. But our treasure is pointing east, so it's pointing straight to the right, so we call that east. So we need to tell him the direction that the treasure's in. Right? Is that enough? If you just tell him what direction it is in, is he going to find the treasure? Well, no, he's not. You need to be more specific. Can you think, what else do you need to tell him? So you've given him the direction. The other thing we need to tell him is the distance. So it's no good telling him, oh, it's that way, if he doesn't know how far away it is. So if it could be there, for example, if it's that direction, it could be way beyond that treasure. Like, we need to be specific. So we need to tell him how far away that treasure is. So the direction is east, as you can see. So here's my compass. So north, east, south, west. East is the direction to the right, and the distance might be something like 100 meters away. So if you tell this guy, right, walk 100 meters east, that is all the information he needs to pinpoint that exact location. So what about if the treasure was something like this? Okay, so it's going perfectly upwards. So in an up direction, we say, well, that's a north direction, right? So here's my compass. N is the north direction, and it might be something like 20 meters away. So that's an example as well. But what about if it's not north and it's not east? What's perfectly between north and east? Well, looking at my compass, that NE, that stands for northeast. Yeah, so if it's in an up and right perfect diagonal, it's northeast. Okay, and that again might be something like 20 meters. Right. What about problems like this? Okay, so it's not north, and it's not even northeast. It's between north and northeast. So it's getting a little bit trickier. So what are we going to do? Well, this is where bearings come in. So bearings is maths that we can use where we use angles to describe a specific location. So instead of using north, east, south, west and things like that, when we use bearings to describe a location, we give an angle. So bearings, we always measure from north and clockwise. So let's say this is north. Well, this treasure, it's slightly to the right of north, isn't it? And I'm just going to tell you that's a 15-degree angle here. So let's say that's a 15-degree angle. So I've started from north, I've measured clockwise until I get to the treasure, and that's a 15-degree angle. And we give bearings as 3 digits. So instead of writing 15, I'm going to write 0, 1, 5. The reason we write it with 3 digits is because sometimes people can get confused with the degrees sign. Some people accidentally think it's a 0. So some people think that's 150 degrees, but it's clearly not. It's 15 degrees. So just to be safe, we give 3 digits. Okay, so using bearings to describe this location, well, I could say to this guy, let's call him Alan, well, the treasure is 20 minutes away from you, and it's on a bearing of 0, 1, 5. So that's how we say it, and that's how we write it down in an exam. Okay, so keeping in mind what we just said, we're going to use bearings to be unlocking some codes today and making some codes of our own. So I've created this grid and we're going to use some bearings on it. Before we start, I need to tell you that each of these triangles in our grid is equilateral, which means that each of these small angles is 60 degrees, and each length of these triangles is 1 centimeters. Okay. So I want you to unlock my code. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start in the middle, and then we're going to move 1 centimeter on a bearing of 180 degrees. So here's my middle, I start measuring from north, so that red line is my north direction. I need to measure 180 degrees. Because I know it's an equilateral triangle, each of these little angles are 60 degrees. So how many 60 degrees do I need to make 180 degrees? Well, it's 3. So I start measuring from north. I've gone 60, 60, 60. So now I'm facing this way. I'm facing south. I'm facing down because I'm under bearing of 180 degrees. And I need to move 1 centimetre along. So 1 centimetre is just one side of these triangles, which puts me on the letter D. I'm going to write that down. So the first letter of my code is D. The next thing we're going to do, now that we are currently on D, we're going to move 1 centimetre on a bearing of 240 degrees. If you're feeling confident with this, please pause the video and see if you can crack the code for yourself. If you're not confident, please just watch me explain it. Okay, so I'm on the letter D and I'm moving a bearing of 240 degrees. Well, bearings, we always start measuring from north. So I'm starting from here, and how many 60 degrees do I need to turn to get 240? Well, 60, 120, 180, 240. So I'm travelling this far around, so this big angle here, so all of these little angles added together are 240 degrees, and I'm now facing in this direction, and it says I travel 1 centimetre, so I travel 1 length, and now I'm on the letter O. So I've got D, O so far. So there's one more letter to find in order to crack my code. I'm on the letter O, and I need to travel 3 centimetres on a bearing of 0 degrees. Well, 0 degrees is easy because I know, well, bearings, I start facing north, and if I'm turning no degrees, I just don't turn, I'm just going north. So north is 0 degrees. And if I'm travelling 3 centimetres, I need to go up 3 lengths of these triangles. So I'm actually going to go this far, and that puts me on G. So my code was the word dog. So I'm just keeping it to simple 3 or 4 letter words today, just to keep it simple. So the code was dog. Alright, next challenge. What I would like you to do, I want you to use bearings to spell out the word code on our grid. So I'll just get us started. So the first thing we're going to do to get to the letter C, so we're going to start in the middle and then we're going to move 1 centimetre on a bearing of 120 degrees. So if you look at what I've done on my diagram, I start from north, I need to move 2 lots of 60 degrees, so I'm moving 120 degrees clockwise and we're moving 1 centimetre along, and now I'm on that letter C. So I've got my C part, so I want you to pause the video if you're feeling confident, see if you can write the next steps to spell out the word code. So we're on C at the moment, how do you spell out code? Okay, so we're on C, now we need to get to the letter O. So we need to get from here to here. Well, how do we do it? Well, what angle do we need to travel? So we start from north and then we go clockwise, so 60, 120, 180, 240. So I need to travel on a bearing of 240 degrees, and because I'm going 2 lengths of that triangle, I need to travel 2 centimeters on a bearing of 240 degrees. So I'm currently on the letter O, but I want to get to D, which is currently just underneath this green line. So how am I going to do it? Well, I start measuring from north, so I measure my angle from north, and I need to go around 1 lot of 60 degrees. So I'm going 60 degrees, and I'm just going 1 space along, so that's 1 centimeters. And then finally, I'm on D, but I would like to get to E. So how am I going to do it? So remember, I start measuring from north, and I have to go clockwise. So north and clockwise, it's 60, 120, 180, 240, 300. So it's nearly a full turn. So I'm going all the way around, which is 300 degrees, and I'm traveling 1 centimeter. Right? So these are my instructions to spell out the word code. So for your classwork today, I want you to give me instructions for how to spell con, cot, not, and bit. So you have 4 3-letter words that I would like you to spell out, please. So you need to pause the video now, because there's no worksheet today, we're working from the video. So pause the video, please, see if you can spell these out using code, and then whenever you're ready for the answers, your answers are in this video. If you let the video play. Okay, so this is how you would have spelled con. So these are your solutions. And then this is how you would have spelled cot. This is your solution for not. And this is your solution for bit. Okay, so if you still have time, so spend an hour on this lesson today. If you've finished that quite quickly, you have an extra challenge. So your challenge is to write some words of your own, to make up your own words, and then using our code. Right. So once you've written your code, so take a photo of it and submit your work on Google Classroom, and you can either challenge me to unlock your code. So I'm going to have a look at your submission, see if I can unlock your code, or if you wanted to send your answers to a friend or something like that, you can do that. But either way, submit your answers so I can see what you've done. Thank you very much, guys.